was a young girl, I wanted to be the CEO of a company, but I've learned I think it's much more important to be the CFO of your life. I'm Mary Laughlin, Vice President of Marketing for the Women's Business Development Center, and we are just thrilled to have everyone here. I'm going to be introducing our wonderful speaker, Jim Randel, but I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. If everyone who has a cell phone, a BlackBerry, anything like that, can put it on vibrate or silent, or better yet off, that would be really terrific. I know oftentimes I forget to do that. I want to give a little bit of a plug for the Women's Business Development Center. May I ask those people who are familiar with our organization? Well, terrific. Thank you for coming. And those who are unfamiliar, we are the leader of entrepreneurial training for women in the state of Connecticut. We have been around for 13 years. We teach, obviously, entrepreneurial training, but we're very committed to ensuring that women and men, 20% of our clients are men, understand the importance of having financial success in your life. So tonight's speech is just so important to us, and I have to thank our wonderful collaborator, which is the Family Economic Security Program here at NCC. We have a terrific relationship with NCC, and I thank all the Norwalk Community College individuals that are here in the room tonight. You will be hearing from Jim, but I just have to give you a little bit of a blurb from his latest book, which you will be referring to. And I think this gives you a bit of an overview on his series on the skinny books. Now, I have to tell you, when I was asked to do the introduction about being skinny, I was a little fearful because I'm not. And so most nonfiction books are 200 pages or more. Why? Because that is what worked 100 years ago. But today, people have less time to read than they did 100 years ago, and there is a lot more to read than there was 100 years ago. I think all of us who get on our computers, and there's so much to read, it's just overload. So how fantastic to have books like this that give us such critical information in such a short period of time. So without further ado, Jim, thank you.
Thank you. I don't think they need it. Yeah.
Right. If you want to flip it on.
I'm not going to use the mic. Everybody can hear me, yes? Okay. Well, first of all, thank you to the Women's Business Development Council, to NCC. They invited me here tonight because I did start a line of books called the Skinny On series. This is what they look like. I don't know, some of you may have gotten one. What we're trying to do with these books is simplify a lot of information and put it into an entertaining, easy to understand format. And tonight we're going to talk a lot about credit cards, a little bit about debit cards, and that's what sort of led me here this evening. By the way, just by way of comparison, this book times 3 is the Internal Revenue Code. This is 1/3 of the Internal Revenue Code. So we're trying to write the Skinny on income taxes. I don't know if we can get 3 of these into one of these, but we're going to try. By way of background, I went to law school. I got out of law school, but I didn't really want to be a full-time lawyer. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight about what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to have your own business, especially given that one of your sponsors, the Women's Business Development Council, is about women and I guess 20% men who have their own business, have their own entrepreneurial activity. So I get out of law school and I started buying and selling commercial real estate. That's how I made my way in the world. For 25 years, I probably bought and sold 100 pieces of commercial real estate. By that I mean office buildings, shopping centers, apartment buildings, warehouses, land. And I got to a point in my life where I decided I wanted to try something new. And so I wrote a book in 2006 about my experience as a real estate buyer and seller, realtor and dealer, I guess, called Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur. That came out in 2006. And I liked the process. I liked the writing process. I liked the learning process. Prior to that, I had been on TV for a while. I had written a book 20 years prior I had been on something called the Financial News Network, which became CNBC, and I was on that every day for about a year. And all this time that I was wheeling and dealing, I kept finding myself leaning to do something else, and that something else was to write, to speak, to teach. And then in 2008, I said, enough of this wheeling and dealing. I want to be a publisher, I want to be a writer, I want to be a teacher. And so started this Skinny On series. We now have 8 of these, by the way. Our latest book, called The Skinny On Success, Why Not You, is one of the topics we're going to discuss tonight. Why not you? What makes people successful, some people, and others not successful? And I'll give you sort of the end of the story right up front. In preparing to do this book, I spoke with a lot of successful people. People in the arts who are well known to you, people in politics, people in business, Olympic athletes. And I kept looking for, what's the common thread? Are these people just smarter than the rest of us? Are they more talented? Are they luckier? Are they better looking? What is it? Why are these people successful? And I read all tons of biographies, and frankly, I'd been doing this for 20 years. Whenever I meet somebody who's very successful, I'm a kind of a pest. Well, how did you get to where you are? You know, what was your path from point A to point B? And after all these years of research and in preparing this book, here's the bottom line. Here's the end of the story. The difference between people who achieve their goals and dreams, who are what we'd all call successful, is not intelligence, talent, looks, luck, background, not even connections. That can play a factor, but those are not the differentiation between success and not success. The differentiation is people who want it more. People who have the will, the drive, the determination, the persistence. Those are the points of differentiation. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as we evaluate all of your opportunities and get into what I call being the CFO of your own life. When I talk about each of you, when I think about me, I'm going to call you You Inc. Each one of you, whether you're in school, whether you work for somebody, whether you work for yourself, whether you're unemployed, whatever, you're like your own little mini business. And I think of myself as Me Inc. And when I talk to you, I'm going to talk about you as You Inc. And I encourage you to think of yourself as a little mini entrepreneurial business, because even if you work for somebody and have a good job, you know what? Things can change. And if you work for yourself and things are going well, things can change. And the point is, I want you to think about always adding value, always improving the value of You Inc. What can you do every single day to make You Inc. more valuable, more attractive to the business world, more attractive to consumers? There's a Japanese word called Kaizen, K-A-I-Z-E-N. Does anybody know what that means? K-A-I-Z-E-N. Well, it's a Japanese word for constant, daily, incremental improvement. The Japanese, the Asians believe that the way to get ahead in the world, the way to get successful, is every day try to do something that makes you a little more knowledgeable, a little more attractive to business, a little more attractive to consumers for whatever it is that your skill set's about. So think about that word. By the way, I'm going to hand out to everybody here at the end of tonight sort of a syllabus of everything we covered this evening. So if you want to take notes, you can, but I'm going to give you a syllabus which covers everything, so you can hopefully, at some later point, think about it. And I'm going to tell you my objective tonight in terms of how you can become the CFO, by the way, stands for Chief Financial Officer, how you can become the Chief Financial Officer of your own life. What I really mean by that is, how can you make You Inc. more valuable? What do you need to know? What can I tell you tonight that you can walk away with that's going to make you more valuable, smarter, maybe a little street smarter, more valuable to the business world,